The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
I am back, and you are comfortably zoned with me, the Zigzag Man, in Alameda, California. And I am blessed, my buddy from the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, Most Valuable Podcaster 2017, and another baseball fanatic, Al Blumkin. How are you?
Okay. Getting over the convention in Pittsburgh this past weekend.
Yeah, you attended the SABR convention.
This is my 31st full one. I went to one. My first full one was in Baltimore in 1982. I couldn't make 1983. I went to every one from 1984 through 2005. I couldn't go to Seattle in 2006. I made 5 straight from 2007 through 2011, and then 2012 things started to happen to me physically, and I made the one in Philadelphia in 2013 because I got a ride. I missed the next 3, and I made the one here in New York last year, and I made the one in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is where I went to college, and I spent an awful lot of time during my years there in Forbes Field, and I have a number of friends I've made over the last couple of years in Facebook, and the pirate chat group I'm in, and it was one I had to make.
Podcast you do with David Finoli?
Finoli, yeah. He wasn't, I was disappointed that he couldn't show up, yeah.
Yeah, but that's all Pittsburgh based.
You
have an affinity for it. And before we go on, how'd that get started? I know the story, but it's very funny to me because
there was 16 founders.
Where you went to school.
Okay, it was funny because when I became a senior in high school, the first couple of college catalogs I brought home were Miami and Southern California. Okay, so my parents weren't ready to let me go that far, so I figured I had to go get out of town because my home situation was something I really couldn't adjust to. So it came down to Pitt and George Washington in D.C., and Pitt sent me all their stuff way ahead of George Washington, so I took the Pitt offer. Of course, the fact that Forbes Field was 2 blocks away from the school didn't hurt. And my father, who was not a baseball fan or a sport fan by any means, wanted to go out there with me to look at the campus before he let his precious 17-year-old son go there. So I made sure that the weekend we went was the weekend that the Pirates were on the road. I wouldn't be tempted to go there.
Good thing, very good thing, as a matter.
So obviously, I got there in fall of 1960, September 1960, started going right away, and that year they won the pennant, and 17 years old, you don't know anything about getting World Series tickets. So I took off the World Series games that were close. The ones that were 3 games that the Yankees won by a lot, I went to classes. And Game 7, a bunch of us were watching it in the dorm 2 blocks away. And after Hal Smith hit his 3-run home run at the bottom of the 8th inning, a friend of mine and I, in fact, I talked to this friend of mine last night, and, we've been in touch basically since 1960, and we decided to go over there. And so I'm holding this transistor radio, and we're 17 and 18 years old. What do we know? We go over there, we get by the left field bleachers, which was where we used to sit for the games for $1. And the guards were busy watching, the security guards were busy watching the game. So we get in there. We crouch down as low as we can in front of the left field bleachers. We see the Yankees tie it up. We get up people would stand up during the between innings, and then we'd get crouched down and saw the Mazeroski home run, and there was pandemonium after that. By the time, between the time it left the bat and the time it went over the left field wall, you could have had a pin drop. Then the place just completely exploded. The whole town was partying that night. It was the first time in 35 years that they had won a World Series. And I bought a program for 50 cents on the way out, which I still have.
Wow.
That was
now,
exciting.
You had only been in Pittsburgh for one...
From September. This is like a month, a little bit over a month.
Right. And
yeah.
you were a lifelong Yankee fan.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever rooted against the Yankees in the World Series was that year.
That year.
1961 came up. I started. People say, "Why are you rooting for the Yankees?" I said, "Oh, last year was an exception. I always root for them." And I ran into a lot of flack when I started rooting for the Yankees against the Mets in 2000.
Okay. Well, as well you should. I'm a Met fan, and I hold you personally
responsible. Yeah.
Right.
So the Pirates, of course, since then won in 1971. I was in Baltimore for that, and in 1979, and there'll be another light year until they win the next time.
You
or even get that close to the next time.
Bruce Keeson, who was taken on a helicopter.
Yeah, after this Game 7 to get married. And Steve Glass, who was...
tragic, passed away a couple of...
Steve Glass, who pitched and won the Games 3 and Game 7, was at the conference. He's one of the Pirate broadcasters now.
Oh, wow. You got to meet him, talk to him a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. And, from the 79 team, they had John Candelaria and Grant Jackson. And they had a Branch Rickey panel with Dick Roth was supposed to appear, but he's 87. Before I was told he has very bad back trouble. So he begged out, and last minute they got Frank Thomas. Not the White Sox Hall of Famer, the one who played for a slew of National League teams in the 50s and 60s.
Including
was with the Pirates for 7
York
years.
Mets.
And then he came to the 1962
very
Mets.
underrated slugger.
Yeah, and he was not a big fan of Branch Rickey. Because Branch Rickey was, to say the least, a bit tight with player salaries. And one of the interesting things on that panel, they had a librarian from Congress who was in charge of the manuscript division there, and they have 20,000 pieces of correspondence to and from Branch Rickey, including a scouting report. So the guy brought up the scouting report on Frank Thomas from 1951 when they signed him. Branch Rickey put down he can do everything. So he did everything when he came up for the first several years, but it didn't translate to dollars.
So that probably embittered him.
Oh, very much so. He's not so much embittered on the superstars making the kind of money, but you got a guy like Edwin Jackson, just came up to the A's.
Right.
On his 13th team, the guy had a career record of 98 and 120 with 4.67 ERA, and through 2017 he had made $77 million.
In his life.
I know. Yeah, and the A's brought him back. He started the game and won his 99th the other day. But this is the type of thing.
$7 million divided by...
$77 million, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and Oliver Perez, who has been on 8 teams and is not all that good, he's made $63 million. I mean, it's just insane what they pay out to some of these players.
Yeah.
And he's very bitter about it.
Both of us are not, if anybody's listening and thinking we hate the players for this, it's not
that's the owners. Nobody's holding. Nobody holds.
And the owners deserve to pay that much because they make X number of dollars.
Yeah, well, yeah. The only time before the free agency case was settled, the only time the players made any money was during wars. league wars, baseball wars. Like twice in the 20th century, it was in the American League, was founded, and almost every superstar in the National League, with the exception of Honus Wagner, jumped to the American League. And of course, after the peace was settled in 1903, it went back to what it was. And then when they had the Federal League in 1914 and 1915, a lot of the biggest stars were signed to big multi-year contracts, like Eddie Collins, who later went to the Black Sox and was hated by a lot of the players because he was making like 3 or 4 times as much as they were. And once the Federal League folded after 1915, it went back to total owner control. And the owners, during the Depression, somebody would have a great year, say, well, you can be on a breadline. If we release you, we're not paying you more than X. And World War II, players that were still around World War II, well, you had a great year, but you could be in the Army making $50 a month in combat. Yes, they really played the card every which way they could for most of that time before, the Messersmith case came up and the arbitrator declared gave them free agency. So
when we were young,
it's basically the
classic case of the Yankees, and it wasn't just Branch Rickey.
I asked one of the guys who wrote a book on Branch Rickey, major book on Branch Rickey, what he thought, how he thought GMs like Weiss and Rickey would operate today. He said they wouldn't.
Right. That's a very good answer. They wouldn't.
But so I've been going to these.
Pendulum had swung. So much.
Oh yeah.
That's what it amounts to.
Well, once
bad for the players before. Now it's so good for the players, but it isn't necessarily bad for the owners.
No, because everything's insured. That money is coming in like crazy, and they basically it's what happened was when the Catfish Hunter was declared a free agent after the 1974 World Series because Finley didn't live up to the terms of the contract, and they saw what Catfish Hunter got when he went free agent to the Yankees. Then it became open, and then of course you got to the point after the first bunch of years of it where it was pretty mild as far, except for Reggie Jackson and a few others, where the rich teams started outbidding the poor teams. And with the scarcity in talent now, and with the 30 teams, it's they'll overpay for a lot of people. The one that besides you, Darvish, this year was getting paid a lot of money for being on the DL with the Cubs. There's a pitcher on the Orioles named Andrew Kashner, who they gave $8 million a year for 2 years, and the guy was a loser everywhere he went. Before this, he's left-handed. That's the only saving grace. But the guy's awful. You see a guy like this, if you or I did our jobs way back when, the way they did their jobs, we would be out on the street selling pencils in Times Square.
Boy,
and that's what people resent about it.
And I am. But I understand what you're saying. You're absolutely right. How about this, though? There's the guys that you just can't understand. You mentioned Jackson with the A's. That game, he looked like a solid number 3 pitcher.
Well, they're not used to him yet. They'll give him a couple of starts.
Okay.
There are plenty of pitchers this year. The Pirates have had a slew of them that look brilliant their first 2 or 3 starts, and then the hitters caught up with them.
Right. Well,
no,
my question mark was Harvey.
Yeah,
Harvey's had several good outings.
Matt Harvey, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, he's doing fairly decently for Cincinnati.
As is Cincinnati as a team.
Yeah.
They're playing some good ball.
Yeah, but basically, I think it's away from the pressure. That comes with the territory here.
Right.
They were talking about Steve Blass disease, which is what was called when he, completely lost his effectiveness after 1972. And so a pitcher suddenly loses it and for whatever reason can never get it back. The other disease that they have here is a pitcher that the Yankees had named Ed Whitson,
Oh,
who for whatever reason could not pitch effectively at all here. And they started to boo him Yankee Stadium every time he struck his head out of the dugout. And he went back to San Diego, and he was fairly decent there. But and Whitson disease is what's said about a player who cannot perform in New York.
Well, there's also Blast couldn't find the plate. I remember that.
He asked that. He said, "I can't find the plate." Martos said, "It's been in the same place the last 100 years."
Very good point. Well, Steve Sachs comes to mind.
Yeah.
Steve Sachs, I don't remember if it was with the Dodgers or with the Yankees. I think it was with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
He suddenly couldn't find.
Yeah, and Chuck E. Cheese Knobloch that the Yankees had also had that same problem.
And there was a catcher that had...
Yeah, Mackey Sasser on the Mets. Couldn't throw the ball back to the pitcher.
Couldn't throw the ball to the pitcher, let alone second base. And with a guy like that, with sacks and stuff, it's a head trip, one way or the other, obviously.
Well, the St. Louis Browns one year tried to bring a team psychiatrist in there, and they still finished last.
Well, you know, in today's day and age, they do have psychologists, psychiatrists, whatever, in the minor leagues. A lot of teams are using those guys. You can call it pampering, but they've got millions of dollars worth of
one of the things I'm starting to find out, because I know there's a big article in the Daily News the other day about how the Mets' lack of fundamentals. How these players come up not knowing fundamentals. And the Pirates are the same way. The Pirates have Clint Hurdle, and who I think is out with his usefulness as a manager. And they come up basically fundamentally unsound. We have other organizations. There's a reason that the Cardinals come up with rookies every year who know how to play.
Yeah, they put money into players.
Yeah, and there's a reason that the Yankee players. The Yankees have two kids at second and third that coming up major league ready.
Right. Exactly.
Now, a lot of these organizations don't do that. They expect the colleges or high schools or whatever to provide fundamental training. They're wrong.
Yeah.
So, do you want to return to the conference? You want me to tell you how it works and everything like that?
Everything you want to tell me about the conference. I'm very excited.
Okay, basically, it may be in Oakland next year.
You get to drive around Pittsburgh a little bit?
No, there's no time.
Okay.
You've got to make your own time, or you've got to make extra time. There's a friend of mine who's from Southern California who's staying there till Thursday because he wants to take in all the sites. There's no time really.
Okay.
The schedule is packed. They start the committee meetings at 7 in the morning. I don't go to those anymore because it's too early for me. Tom Zacco, the guy I share the room with, he goes to these things. So he's out of the room at 6:30 in the morning. Have to get some breakfast and go to committee meetings. Then the only time I had to really take off was two stretches. When most of the conference went to PNC on Friday because they go early because they hear some of the officials. In fact, they heard the Pirate general manager. I told them, I said, just expect to hear nothing. And what they do is with these types, they screen all the questions. They used to have it where you got up and waited online before a microphone. They don't do that anymore with these types. They screen the questions and nothing. So it turns basically into a puffball scene. And Saturday, between the end of the last group of panels and presentations to the start of the trivia semifinals and finals, I go there. I sit there, and my friend I mentioned, Tom, we used to play. We were in the same team together for 10 years. He played individual against me a couple of times, but said, why aren't you playing? I said, look, I had my run. It was a great run. I won the last 5 times I played, 3 teams and 2 individuals. And I said, I can't do it anymore. I said, if they ever put a senior event there and everything is before 1970, then I could participate.
Oh, I got you.
But forget it now. It's just there's one guy who's played against me when I was at my peak that's still playing. And I caught up with him this time around.
Same reason, right?
Yeah. And
you're certainly not losing any. You're not losing.
No, but I the stuff in, like the last day, I asked the last Pirate to win the home run title. It says Pedro Alvarez. Just says, who remembers that? That was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when the team stunk. And
right.
Most Pirate fans try to forget about those years. It's just too much. It's too many players, too much movement, too many teams to keep track of it all. So that was it. But you get up there, you eat when you can. The one big disappointment they had was the so-called awards banquet, where all they served was salad and a couple of cookies. Before last year, they cut it out last year here because it was too expensive. They used to give you, along with the ticket to get into the room for the meal, a ticket whether you wanted fish or chicken, fish or whatever meat they were serving.
Right.
And they didn't have that this time, so it was. But the rest of it was very, very well done. One of my good friends, the guy who founded Pirate Chat and a whole slew of other Facebook groups, was the host, and I was able to spend 3-4 hours with him just talking back and forth. And another guy who I knew from the Pirate Chat group, I spent several hours. Most of the Pirate Chatters didn't show up, which is disappointing. But as my favorite philosopher said one time, if people don't want to go, nobody's going to stop them.
Yogi Berra.
Of course.
Yes. If you come to a fork in the road...
The road, take it. If it's not that way, it's the other way. I once had to use that. It's not that way, it's the other way. So, and people know, anytime they ask me about yogi, I just say I can never get enough.
No.
But, basically, I've seen so many, in the 31 years I've been there, going to these things, I've seen so many presentations and panels and all of that. And but my big thing is to see people I get to see once a year, and I saw a couple of friends of mine I hadn't seen in quite a number of years. And that to me is the highlight.
You have read so many books on Yogi Berra.
Yeah.
So let me give a little bibliography, and I'll tell you my favorite book on Yogi Berra that really captured who he was I don't remember the title, but the author was a guy named Barra.
Alan Barra, Eternal Yankee. Yeah. I've read that. Yeah. The name of the book was Eternal Yankee.
Okay. Did that capture him as well
captured
as
him.
The others?
And so did the book Ten Rings, and of course, when they started releasing the books with all his sayings, that helped a lot. And Yogi was always well regarded, and almost every picture that somebody puts up of him on Facebook, a lot of the comments was, we still miss him. But Yogi became a national icon when he told Steinbrenner to go to hell after he got fired in 1985 as manager. And Steinbrenner didn't do it, so Yogi didn't show up at Yankee Stadium. And after DiMaggio died in March of 99, Yogi became the leading Yankee living icon, and Steinbrenner had to go hands on his knees, crawling up to the museum in New Jersey to get him to come back.
Yeah, I think that was brokered through Yogi's
Susan Waldman.
Yeah, and she went through Yogi's wife.
Yeah.
if I'm
Well,
not
Carmen was no slouch.
No.
And so anyway, so they had Yogi Berra Day, and me and 3 friends of mine went up there, and that was the day Cohen pitched the perfect game.
Oh, wow.
I said I had for Yogi Berra Day, I had to be up there. And Carmen showed up. I went to 2 SABR meetings at the local SABR meetings out to the museum in New Jersey, and the second time Carmen showed up. And I asked the organizer, if it says, yeah, we've asked her plenty of times. She just decided to show up. So she's told a couple of funny things. One year, they've been married for about 20 years or so. She gets an anniversary card from him and says, your husband, Yogi Berra. That's how he signed it. She said like there were 10 other yogis out there. And the other time,
known which one.
Yeah, and she said the one time that they were at some affair and Rachel Robinson was there. And Rachel Robinson asked Carmen if she could have a dance with Yogi. Carmen says, sure, but right before she calls Yogi over and says, whatever you do not bring up that play. They're the one from the 55 World Series.
Yeah, safe her out.
Yeah, and I asked
safe her out.
Yeah, out. Yogi's sister to his dying day was out. And Dale Berra was at the first. Dale Berra was at the first.
That reaction.
Dale Berra was at the first one. And I asked Dale, did your father ever get as mad as he did on that play? He said, only when we talked back to our mother. And when they did a center stage program here, and yes, they asked Yogi how he knew Carmen was mad at him. He says when she called him Lawrence.
Lawrence Peter.
Yeah. And she passed away a year and a half before he did. So I'm sure that, anytime you have her, they were married for 65, 70 years almost. But, a lot of the players who came out of World War II had marriages that last forever. Not like Mantle and Eddie Matthews and, these same mistresses or getting divorced several times. The ones who grew up with the Depression had a lot more trouble with stable marriages. But, usually I guess in those kinds of marriages, when one spouse dies, the other one isn't too far behind.
That's brought home by the movie Damn Yankees with Joe Hardy and his feelings for a long time.
And Whitey Ford had a granddaughter that was at the convention last year. So I spoke to her for about 10 minutes. I asked her how, her grandmother was doing, Whitey Ford's wife, and she was surprised I even knew about her. And then I started talking about how many times I saw Whitey pitch and all the rest of it. And she said, I said, how's he doing now? She says, he's doing okay, but he misses Yogi something awful.
I think about that all the time, and that really confirms my thoughts. How must it be for guys like Silvera and who loved Yogi? They were so close. I did an interview with him and Ford, and
if you're the last survivor, like Willie Mays was the last survivor of the 1951 Giants.
Whoa.
That's because he's, the couple,
the
like Antonelli, there's only 18 Giants. Somebody posted this the other day. There are only 18 former New York Giants that are still alive. Yeah. And, they've been out of there for 60 years. And, how does it feel? Willie Mays, you're 87 years old. You can't do nearly anything that you did when you were younger. And all your teammates from that first team are all gone.
Yeah.
And Whitey Ford must be feeling basically the same thing.
His wife passed away a few years ago as well.
No, Mays?
Yeah. He has a...
He must have a housekeeper or something to do all the...
Yeah, he has a companion.
Yeah.
That...
And Willie is now the second oldest living Hall of Famer who was elected as a player behind Whitey. And Hank Aaron is third.
Right. I can't... Hank Aaron, you picture him as eternally young.
Oh.
He was thin and always in
No,
shape.
the AC button. Yeah, my aide is getting hot here, so I
Yeah.
put the AC on here. We're in for a tremendous heat wave starting Friday.
Oh man, you've got the extremes in weather.
Yeah, we got
in
the
city.
extremes.
I love the city. Grew up in it.
Yeah.
But
You wouldn't want to live here if they paid you.
Weather-wise, that you could go back in September or maybe in May.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's no telling what you're going to get in extreme heat, humidity, and the rest, or extreme cold with snow and...
Yeah. Well, I have a friend of mine, he and his wife moved back here after 30 years in Florida because they couldn't stand the summers there anymore.
Well, so they moved back. But how are they going to do with...
No, they moved back here in
summers,
2000. They manage. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
When you get to this age, you don't. When you get to this age, you don't do too much running around.
Right.
You know, I had 75 last month, so.
You did turn 75 years young.
Yeah.
I hear the voice.
These conventions.
I'm right behind you, friend.
Yeah,
so,
the convention is a chance because it was originally supposed to be in San Diego next year. And the hotel fell through there because they wanted too much. So what I heard, this is now second and maybe even third-hand rumors, there'll be either Chicago, where they had it 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Detroit or Oakland.
Oh, man.
They had it out in Oakland in 1995. So if they have it out in Oakland...
If it was in Oakland, would you find a way to get here?
Well, the flights would be very rough. But to see you and some of the other people, I might make a try, given that I have no slippage in health between now and then. But the thing is also, you go there, you pick up they give you some stuff, a goodie bag, including, a full program of what's going on. You start with a reception on the first night, then everything starts, and you're so busy, and time flies so fast. By the time you turn around, it's time to go home.
Right. But
so that's it. You really don't have a chance.
Recovery time.
Recovery time or a chance to stay around. See, what I used to do when my mother was alive, I would go there for a week after the things ended and relax. Mm-hmm. And in 1994, when they had it down in Arlington, Texas, I visited her for a couple of days before, and I went back for several days after.
Right.
But that's the only way I was able to, when I went back to work after those things, I was, reasonably rested. But you come back.
How did they settle where they did in the South?
They try to make it. They try not to have it in the same geographical parts of the world, too often. So for every last one I went to in California, which is one I should never do because it ruined my back, was in Long Beach in 2011. And that ruined my back. But that's the way they've had it. Since then, they've had it in Chicago, Minnesota, Miami, Houston, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and here. And they figure it's time to go out to the West Coast. We get a number of people that.
First time they've been to the West Coast?
No, first time. It'll be the first time since 2011.
Oh, okay.
And I was out there in San Francisco in '98, where I saw me and my friends a couple of friends of mine took a drive down to San Juan Bautista, where I saw where they shot the ending scenes of Vertigo.
Oh, wow.
Which was a thrill, a tremendous thrill for me, because I'm a very big Hitchcock buff. And 1993 was in San Diego. 1999 it was in Phoenix. 1985 it was in Oakland. So it's like every.
Hey, if you come out, Alan, we'll take you up to Sonoma where they shot
The birds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a location there.
Yeah, so, I don't know when they're going to decide, and I said that's second and third hand rumors, but they're going to have to make a decision sometime, I guess, fairly quickly to start setting up the reservations and everything. And it's funny, the hotel we had in Pittsburgh was called the Grand Wyndham. And when I was there, going to school there, I told people when I was going to Pitt, dinosaurs were still roaming the earth. And it was the Pittsburgh Hilton. But what I saw of the city, it's really a hell of a lot different and nicer from when I was there, 55 years ago.
Did you get to go by the new stadium?
I was there in 2006.
Okay. What do you think
it's
of
beautiful.
it?
It's a tremendous facility, and it's too bad they don't have a ball club to put in there.
Yeah. They came close in the Barry Bonds years.
And they came close. They had three big seasons. 2013, when they made it to the division, they were beaten by the Cardinals in 5 games. 2014, they were beaten by Bumgarner in a wild card. 2015, they won 98 games and were beaten by Arrieta in that wild card. And they fell 20 games in 2016. And at one point in the season, they were 26-17. They're now 37-42.
Hey,
so you figure that it's like the Mets.
They were 11-1. So
yeah, you figure that out.
Boat, Al.
Yeah, they're imploding, and I think Hurdle has lost total control of the team, and there's not a winning culture there. So
right.
Look, there's nothing. I don't even get upset by the losses anymore because there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
Just like you with the Met, you and the people with the Mets. I mean, when you do these Met podcasts, it has to be everything has to be negative, right?
On the Met, we didn't even do one this week.
Yeah.
We could not get it together to call in and have to talk about what has gone on in the previous week.
Because the last one I did with David Finoli wasn't pretty either.
Right. Right. But sometimes you got to bite the bullet.
I know, yeah.
That's all part of it. Hey, listen, Al, what a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
We'll talk again very soon.
I probably won't be able to do with David Nemec and Al Anderson until next week because Al has one of his granddaughters is getting married this weekend, and he's going to be totally tied up for a week.
Do it next week and do it in good health.
All right.
Please. Thank you again, Al.
You're welcome.
If you're listening out there, Al Blumkin, SABR superstar, let me tell you. And the fact checker on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. And I think I might have mentioned before, podcaster MVP, Most Valuable Podcaster 2017.
Okay.
Thanks again, Al.
All right, I'll be back next week for George and Hal and David.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for listening, everybody. Take care and stay healthy.
So long.